You'll know our next guest from TV shows like Restaurant Impossible and Rachel Ray. Today we're going to get to know him a little bit better and talk about something we both love, building. We're thrilled to welcome to Tooling Around, Tom Burry. Tom, thank you so much for being here. Let's get right into it. Like a lot of people, you kind of grew up in this industry. Can you tell me a little bit about that aspect?
Funny story when you say grew up. I literally grew up in the industry. When I was brought home, my dad was still working on putting the windows in our home. He had been renovating the house on his own because he worked a full-time job. So my mom was like, I can't bring Tom home until the windows are in the house. And it was winter on top of that. But he worked on it for the next 3 years. So I grew up until I was 3 years old on a construction site.
So your father was a big influence on why you even went into this business?
Huge influence. He is, he's a tinkerer. He's a machinist. And he literally did everything around our house growing up. So we didn't know, we never called a plumber or an electrician, or he did it all. So I just grew up following him around, and I loved it so much that it's what I continued, and it was my passion, so I keep doing it.
So I would say that it turned you into a well-rounded contractor like you are today.
Exactly. Like, I never was afraid to get my hands dirty doing everything. And I loved all the trades, and I loved learning all the trades. It's just, for me, it's fascinating how they all work together, and I always wanted to get my hands dirty doing each trade separately.
So did you, a lot of guys start carrying nails or doing that. Did you start at the bottom when you started in the industry?
Oh, I started all the way at the bottom. I was the cleanup, I got my first job. I never forget, I worked for a contractor, and I wanted the job so bad, I said, I'll do anything. And he went, okay, fine, you can clean up the job site, but you never stop moving. If there's nothing for you to do, I want you to do jumping jacks. And that's what I did. So if he saw me doing jumping jacks, he knew I had no work, and he would keep giving me more work.
Now, how did it go from designing and working in jobs to going into television? Because I think a lot of people are really interested about that transition you made.
Most people make the transition very differently. For me, I never applied to be on a TV show. I had my company, Division 9. We built restaurants all over the country, a lot in New York City, and we were very much focused on that. And then I got a phone call from friends of mine and said, we're doing this crazy pilot called Restaurant Impossible. It's $10,000, 2 days. And I was like, we're working on $1 million projects, guys. We have deadlines tomorrow, and when are we gonna do this? And long story short, I jumped into it, I did it, the crew fell in love with it. It was kind of, it fit us really well. And then Robert and the producers called us back and said, you wanna do another one? You wanna do another one? You wanna do another one? And 160 later, there it is. We've been doing it for almost 6 years.
So let me ask you, for people that are interested in getting into the trade and making that crossover like you, what advice would you give somebody aspiring in the business?
Just like you have to be passionate about it. And that's the biggest thing I tell people. If you're not passionate about building and being in this industry, you're never gonna make it. And me specifically, what we do, restaurants, I'm very passionate about restaurants. I love restaurateurs, I love chefs. So naturally, I love building, so I kind of combine those things, and there we are, and that's what I do. So anyone who's a builder, just find what you're passionate about. You're passionate about building, what else are you passionate about? Cross those things together, and that's what you should be doing.
Now, speaking of building, I know that you have a passion of your own that you're working on, which is your home. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about how does it work for you when you're running your own crew of yourself?
Well, I started running my own crew on my own project the way I run everything, and I made a list, and I had a schedule, and I had all that, and that schedule is now in the garbage because there's just no way. You own a home. It's impossible to say I'm going to get this done then and be ahead of schedule. It never works that way, and it's a never-ending project. I've kind of just grasped that I will never really finish the home, but at the same time, I really love that because I like constantly working on it, and I think it's always going to be an evolving project. There's always things we're going to do new and change and all that kind of stuff.
Division 9.
Mm-hmm.
How did Division 9 come about?
Again, it was just a passionate thing. Me and a couple college buddies that all graduated together, we really all loved building, we loved construction, and we loved restaurants. And I was the one who said, well, let's start building restaurants. We all seem to love the interest of restaurants. And what we loved about restaurants is they're really difficult. A restaurant is, I would say a restaurant's like a machine. There's all these moving parts. It's a kitchen that has to function properly. You have to be able to get the servers around, and it has to look beautiful. Mm-hmm. So doing all those things together, it's really complex and on a time frame because the chef wants the restaurant open on this date, it has to be open or they lose a lot of money. So we've done a lot of that, and we really just kind of all came together and formed the company and started doing that, and it's been great for us. We've been doing it for over 10 years now.
So Division 9 seems to be working out for you very well.
Oh, great, fantastic.
So let me ask you another question. What is your favorite tool to have on a job site, or period?
It's funny because my new favorite tool, and I don't know if you've gotten your hands on one yet, but cordless chop saw. And
Yes.
a lot of people say, they're like, oh, it's a smaller blade, blah, blah, blah. But I will tell you, I travel a lot just like you do. I'm able to fit it in my travel bag, my 50-pound tool bag. And it's amazing because you can carry it around. Also at home for me, I live in the city, so I have a row home. Imagine carrying a chop saw up a spiral staircase. It's a nightmare. So I can carry this little saw everywhere I need to go, super portable, getting done all the little trim work, all those little jobs that you really need to do. It's so great.
And it's great because you can actually take the tool to the work, not the work to the tool.
Exactly.
Which is a beautiful thing. So one question I have to ask you is, do you have any, I would say funny or not funny stories about going through airport security with tools?
The interesting part about it is, obviously we're all using cordless tools nowadays, so you can't check any of the lithium batteries. So all my tools get checked and it's no problem. However, now I've got 12 lithium batteries in my backpack that I'm putting through the line at TSA. So literally it beeps and I just go, it's my bag. And the guy goes, what's that? I go, just open it, you'll see. And so batteries pour out, and then they figure out I'm a contractor, and I always end up in a funny conversation about it. But it's what you have to do. You have to get them to where I gotta go.
Okay, so this leads us into our next segment. So you obviously travel a lot for work. You go to different restaurants across the country. I have a little game we like to call restaurants or rock bands. So I'm gonna ask you if this is a rock band or a restaurant. So the first one, The Loving Spoonful, rock band or restaurant?
I'm gonna go, it could be either. I'm gonna go restaurant.
It is a rock band, Summer in the City, all that kind of stuff. La Stanza, restaurant or rock band?
That's an easy one because that's a local restaurant for me, and that is a restaurant.
Exactly, that is a restaurant in Philadelphia. The Snooty Fox.
Also a restaurant, one of my favorite restaurants we ever did on the show. I love that one.
The Flying Burrito Brothers, rock band or restaurant?
I'm gonna go rock band. I don't know what they sing, but I got it.
Wild Horses couldn't drag me away fast enough from these guys. I'm just kidding. Jimmy's Chicken Shack, rock band or restaurant?
Definitely a rock band.
Absolutely, it is a college and music. You've never sounded better. Mad Cactus, restaurant or rock band?
That sounds like a Mexican restaurant, I would have to say.
Absolutely, it is Tex-Mex in Ohio, and you did it. Bananarama, rock band or restaurant?
That is definitely a rock band.
I am your Venus, not really, that's too personal. Thank you so much for being here. It was an absolute pleasure to get to know you. Thank you all for watching, and if you want to see more of Tom Berry, check him out on the Food Network's Restaurant Impossible. Check your local listings. We'll see you next time at Toolin Around, a constructive conversation.